Wife made false accusations. During our divorce and my own family testified against me in court, so I lost custody of my kids and paid huge alimony. Then her new boyfriend came forward with evidence proving she made up everything. When Simone filed for divorce after 8 years of marriage, I fully expected the process to be difficult and painful. I did not expect her to systematically destroy my entire life with calculated lies. She accused me of terrible things I never did. Violence, threats, controlling behavior, things I couldn't even comprehend being capable of. She cried convincingly on the witness stand about living in constant fear, while I sat there in complete shock, trying to understand who this woman had become and why she was doing this. But the absolute worst part of the nightmare was my own family betraying me. My mother testified under oath that I had serious anger issues growing up as a child. My brother told the court he always privately worried about my temper. My sister submitted a written statement claiming Simone had confided in her about my supposed abusive behavior for years before the divorce. None of it was remotely true. I had never raised a hand to anyone in my entire life. My family knew all of this. They were deliberately lying under oath, and I couldn't understand why until I learned that Simone had been carefully manipulating them for months before she filed. She told them elaborate stories over private dinners and phone calls, planted poisonous seeds about my character, made them genuinely believe a completely fictional version of me that simply didn't exist. The judge sided with her completely based on all the testimony. I lost custody of my two beautiful children entirely. I was granted only supervised visitation every other weekend with a court-appointed monitor present. I had to pay alimony that consumed most of my paycheck, leaving me barely able to survive. I moved into a tiny studio apartment and saw my own kids for 8 supervised hours a month, while complete strangers watched my every move to make sure I didn't do anything dangerous. For 2 agonizing years, I lived that humiliating way. Every single visit supervised and documented. Every interaction with my children monitored and recorded. My kids started looking at me differently because their mother had been telling them terrible things. They would flinch nervously when I moved too quickly or spoke too loudly. My son asked me once in a small, scared voice if I was going to hurt him someday. I left that supervised visit and sat in my car crying uncontrollably for over an hour. Then everything changed completely and unexpectedly. Simone's new live-in boyfriend contacted me out of nowhere through social media. His name was Greg, and he said urgently that he needed to meet with me to discuss something important. I didn't trust the situation, but I was desperate enough to try anything. We met at a quiet coffee shop across town. He slid a thick folder across the table toward me. Inside were screenshots of text conversations, audio recordings, and various documents. Simone had been openly bragging to Greg about how brilliantly she'd orchestrated the entire divorce, how she'd carefully coached my family members on exactly what to say during their testimony, how she'd practiced fake emotional distress for weeks before her court appearance, how the whole devastating thing had been a calculated performance designed to guarantee she got everything she wanted. She told me it was genius-level planning, Greg said quietly. She was actually proud of destroying you. I recorded her talking about it multiple times because I was originally planning to use it as leverage for myself later, but then I spent real time with your kids. Your son talks about you constantly. He misses you so much and keeps asking when he can spend time with his dad without strangers watching. Greg looked me straight in the eye. I'm not a perfect person, and I've done bad things, but I cannot watch those innocent kids grow up believing their father is a monster when he's clearly not. I took that folder directly to my lawyer. We filed emergency motions immediately. The judge agreed to review all the new evidence. My mother was deposed again and completely crumbled under aggressive questioning, finally admitting that Simone had told her exactly what to say. My brother confessed tearfully that he'd never witnessed any concerning behavior from me ever. Simone was charged with multiple counts of perjury and filing false reports. The custody order was completely reversed. I got my children back with full custody.